This is just the beginning for crypto. Those were basically the words of the BlackRock CEO. And if you do not know, BlackRock is a company that are literally the biggest asset managers in the world with $10 trillion worth of assets under management. And if you've not been kept up to date with what these guys are doing right now, well, they're buying tons of Bitcoin. As you've seen right here, BlackRock right now owns about $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, about 25,000 of them. And on the channel, we keep on saying one thing, which is these numbers are very low right now, but it's just the start. I actually don't want to spend time only talking about Bitcoin though. I personally think this is just the start for many coins. XRP, Ethereum, Solana, and more, as we'll talk about in the video. But if you've not done it yet, make sure you go ahead and press the like button on this video, and let's dive right in. So first of all, we all know that this whole Bitcoin ETF was the start. I've said it before, and many have said it before, that this opened up the floodgates for massive amount of capital to flow in. But Bitcoin, as an ETF, is just the start. We right now have about 4 months until the close or deadline for an Ethereum ETF, and I think we're all on the same page. The SEC is going to try stop it, but eventually it will happen. And some of the big guys like Franklin Templeton have actually stated that they are looking into ETH, Solana, everything, specifically other layer ones outside of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Have massive potential, and we are continuing to support, monitor, and develop on these networks as they grow and mature. This is from Franklin Templeton. Can you understand? And together with the fact that Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, was so adamant in pushing the Ethereum narrative and the tokenization narrative, and today a very bullish statement coming out from the Coinbase v. SEC lawsuit where, again, Larry Fink pushed saying, we need more tokenization. We need things in the real world to be tokenized because it makes for a lot less friction in every single direction. But the bullish decision in the SEC v. Coinbase case today was that the federal judge said that tokens, per definition, are not securities. And again, the issue is more with how they are sold or how they are traded, perhaps, but the token itself is not a security, like in the XRP/Ripple case. Then again, the SEC is not trying to get this passed, as we all know. They are a very interesting agency, but one of their main priorities seems to be to make sure people don't make money. Anyway, when we're talking about this is just the beginning, look at all those shoes, huh? Damn, look at those. I partially talk about it from the ETF perspective, but I don't think that's the most important factor here. I think one of the most interesting things as well is that we've obviously got ourselves the Bitcoin halving coming up in a couple of months from now, but that on its own, it just kind of proves scarcity to some extent, right? What are the real numbers showing? Why am I saying this? Well, first of all, because I personally think a lot of companies are gonna want to get their deals in slightly before the halving comes along because they know it brings a lot of excitement, etc. So they want to get their products in before the halving, I think, right? And this statement from before was up to 10 Hong Kong asset managers are looking to launch Bitcoin and crypto spot ETFs. The key component here being crypto spot ETFs, because over there, I think they're a little bit more lenient towards other cryptos. So we might see other countries really spearhead all these other interesting ETFs after the SEC said it is ready to accept applications. So a lot of Chinese money is going to flow into here. It's just going to take some time. But I'm going to show you 3 charts. Take a look at this one. The rational root explained the 4-year cycle, including the realized price in the dotted lines, aligned by today's date. And if you take a look, I'll show you in a better overview here real quick. As you can see, we've got ourselves the actual price and the realized price, with obviously the prices being scaled to 2024, or I should say the 2024 cycle. And what becomes quite apparent is how we see a massive dip, which we saw in about December of 2022, then a little bit over a year straight of gains. In halving cycle number 3, we saw a massive dip right there, which obviously was the whole Black Swan event, the coronavirus, as you guys all remember. But in the previous cycle, for example, halving cycle number 2, we didn't really even see a dip right there. And the realized price basically being the price, but scaled or relative to the amount of Bitcoin that's out there. To put that into perspective, if 10 years ago, for example, there were only 12 million Bitcoin out there, and right now there are 19 million Bitcoin out there. Back then, your market cap would be relatively almost half of what it would be today. So to basically have a relative scale in here as well, we have the realized price. And it becomes quite interesting that right now we are like an equinox. We're like at an equilibrium of all three of these cycles. And that generally speaking, even though in the previous cycle, due to this black swan event, the trajectory for crypto seems to be, if we look at previous cycles, mostly just up from here. And perhaps the only slight difference here being that we had such massive ETF hype where the prices went slightly crazier in this last couple month period than they usually do here, or usually prices kind of fall off ever so slightly, perhaps because the Bitcoin ETF run up. But again, to put it into perspective, if you put them on top of each other, for example, it's really interesting to note just how bullish, just how crazy things will probably get over the next few months. And again, what we do know for a fact is that the return on our Bitcoin, on our crypto, relatively will keep getting lower and lower, which is why I keep telling you guys about altcoins more and more. If you asked me a couple years ago, kind of depends on when you ask me, but in the bear market, I was really a lot more on Bitcoin only, and I could even bring up a lot more arguments why Bitcoin only would be your best choice. But now, as I've grown, I've come to realize that it just depends on how much money you're starting off with and how high your risk profile is. It's the same as if you're having an investment account open at a bank, right? They will ask you what your risk profile is. How much risk are you looking for? If you really want to go aggressive, you might get yourself a 7% return a year. If you really want to go quite neutral, depending on if you're doing Swiss franc or dollars, you might only get yourself a, 1.5% return, or with a dollar, maybe a 5% return or something like that, depending obviously on the interest rates. And with this crypto space too, if you're really in the upper echelon and you really just want to play it quote unquote safe, have a proper store of value, Bitcoin makes sense. If you're really looking to make crazy amounts of money, leverage trading Bitcoin could make a lot of sense, or as we discuss here all the time, look for the right altcoins at the right time. And looking at this cycle, I keep telling you why Bitcoin relatively becomes a worse and worse choice, while altcoins relatively become a better and better choice because they make up more and more percentage-wise from the total crypto market, and relatively will also keep making you more gains, as the gains for altcoins only keep increasing, while the gains for Bitcoin are relatively diminishing. But then again, the baseline being that we are just at the start. In the previous cycle, quickly afterwards, we did see a pretty significant dip. But again, I think that was a black swan event. We may see some slight downside, but the general trajectory is upwards. And whether we all know for a fact as well, that these flows are, and I always love to show it, fiat to Bitcoin, which for the most part we've already seen, Bitcoin into your large caps like your XRP, Solana, etc., and Ethereum, etc., which right now are gaining, following the logic, a lot of traction and a lot of support. And that's the next area of a lot of the gains that are again in that safe bracket, followed eventually by your meme coin bonanza. The thing is though, meme coins specifically, they do well all the time. And there will be outliers every now and then as well of coins that just do well, which make you think that it's already altcoin season. It's already time. It's already go time. And I've said before, now that Bitcoin's dominance is decreasing relative to altcoins, you could consider it to be altcoin season already. But the fact that we're not waking up to 40% gains every single day, the fact that we still have the halving to go, and that we're relatively not that far into the whole cycle just quite yet, makes me realize, no, the real altcoin season starts a lot later. As a matter of fact, altcoins do best when Bitcoin has already seen its all-time high. If you look at XRP's all-time high, for example, I think Bitcoin made an all-time high end of November, and then the next cycle again end of November. And then XRP's all-time high was, I think, the beginning of January 4th or January 5th. Which makes you realize, well, if Bitcoin already saw its all-time high, why did altcoins keep blooming? It's because people are selling their Bitcoin for an even better opportunity, which will become your big cryptos, but also smaller and smaller, again, depending on where in the cycle you are. And that's why, as I just stated, I talk about a lot of altcoins to buy right now in preparation for this phase. Because if you're too late, a lot of the coins are already relatively expensive. So you want to be, preparing yourself as soon as possible, obviously. But I think any single one of you knows that here, for example, this meme coin is up so much today that every single day there'll be some coin that pops off, but those are outliers. You will not be able to catch every single one of those because they don't have any specific pattern to it. It could be either a massive market making firm manipulating it, for example. I've talked to you guys before about some of the groups where you can only get in if you've got really good connections or an extremely high net worth or something along those lines. And in there, you know, and you see just how crazy this space can be. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars worth of manipulation. But for the most part, the whole cycle and when things do well, which things do well, it all makes so much sense, which is why I describe it on this channel all the time, and which is why I say, if you've not done it yet, make sure you put that notification bell on. Make sure you press the like button every single time you come around, and make sure you watch these videos through. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again, I personally think if you're preparing yourself properly right now, you're going to crush it over the next 12 to 18 months as the real gains start flowing in. But you've got to prepare right now. You've got to set yourself up mentally for the success, because you also have to understand that holding through an entire bull market ain't easy. But we've had it many, many times before. I've been here for so long, uploading videos every single day. I've made so many mistakes that I'm teaching you guys about and telling you guys about every single day. And I'll end it off by saying, I'm rooting for you. I'm here for you. I'll be posting on this channel every single day. So all I say is, if you want to learn more about crypto, you want to know what's going on, make sure you subscribe to the channel. But hey, it's completely up to you. I'll see you tomorrow in another crypto update.